Olszak. I'm past president of the Bremerton Chamber of Commerce, still on the board of directors for the Bremerton Chamber of Commerce. And I want to welcome you to our eggs and issues. So a couple housekeeping things. First off is these are the little tickets to the show, the golden tickets. If you want to ask a question, write it down. When you got one, just hold it up, come around, collect it, or you can bring it to myself, Frank, and we'll be sure to work it into it. Let you know we do have duplicate questions, but that's great. We won't ask you that many times. Second thing is, for those who are first time here, we do have restrooms are down that hallway. Second thing is, we have a no-host breakfast here, which is nothing short of spectacular. The food here is really, really good, but I'm not just saying that. I'm really meaning that. And then in case of an emergency, the exit doors are over to your left. And then also, I just want to bring to your attention that should you happen to have one of these things in your pocket, please put it on silent or vibrate. If it goes off during the session, I ask that you voluntarily make a $10 donation to a local nonprofit. And today's nonprofit will be
Salvation Army.
Salvation Army. So if you, and it's voluntary, I'm not going to hunt you down or anything, but it's just give you fair warning, folks, turn them off now. Our candidates, today will begin with a 3-minute opportunity to address you with whatever they want to say and introduce you to their platform. After 3 minutes each, and then we'll begin with the questions. The questions will have 1 minute to answer. They will be guided by our time master, Frank here, who will put up the yellow, which means, whoa, you got 10 seconds. And then when you get red, that means it's like, it's over, okay? And I will do my best to make sure that when red comes up, that we'll make sure we bring it to an end and continue on there. After the 1 minute question period, then we'll move into, at the conclusion, each candidate will have 2 minutes to do a conclusion remarks and to end today's explanation. So with that, I know that we like to begin alphabetically. So we'll begin with Carrie as our first candidate to speak to you all for 3 minutes. Please, Carrie.
Thank you. Welcome, John. Good to see you. John and I are old friends, so I'm sure this is going to be civil. I think when someone's running for election, you should ask 2 questions. One, why are they running, and what do they hope to accomplish? And the why I'm running is easy. I've been in public service all my life. Spent 30 years working for the Boys and Girls Club of America. Was on the Bellevue City Council for 16 years. Served as mayor of Bellevue 3 terms and as mayor of Bremerton twice. Worked for the Olympic College Foundation, and I've been the CEO of the port. So my whole life's been about public service, and I wanted to continue that, and I saw this job as an opportunity to do that. The second thing you should ask is, what are their priorities? What do they hope to get done? And on your table today, I've left you my 6 priorities. You can read through them, but basically they're this. I think this is the best time Kitsap County's ever had to recruit private sector jobs. With the economic growth going on in Puget Sound right now, and with the cost of housing in Seattle and the congestion in Seattle, I think this is absolutely the best time for us to recruit Microsoft or an Amazon or Expedia to Kitsap County. So that's my #1 priority. Number 2, and I'll go down this list real quick, improve and upgrade our industrial park and finish the SKIA situation. See, John, someone didn't know what order I have to order when you secure permanent funding for ferries. I want to talk a little bit about ferries, and I know Representative Sequist has worked on this for a long time. Nothing more important to this community than improved ferry service. The port owns a lot of property in downtown Bremerton and in downtown Port Orchard, and I want to work with both those cities to upgrade those properties and maximize their opportunity. I think the port should continue to provide recreational opportunities like we've done in Port Orchard with walking trails and public spaces and boat ramp. And last but not least, I think our most low-hanging fruit is to build a defense campus on our industrial park. There are a lot of contractors that come in to do business with the shipyard that don't operate out of here. And we should be recruiting those companies to have an office or at least a space in Kitsap County in our industrial park. So if I'm elected, one of the first things we'll work on is building a defense corridor contractors industrial campus. So I just want to finish by saying I'm enjoying running against John. I think he's a good candidate, got a great history, but I have a history of getting things done in this community. As mayor of Bremerton, we raised over $400 million in public investment here. As a CEO of the port, I won't go into it, and I know this guy's tough on time, so anyway, thank you for having me. I enjoyed it. And look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Gary. And John, you're next, please.
You ready, Tiger? Ready to go. Well, thank you for having me here this morning. This is a lot of fun. I've never done anything like this, so it's good to see some familiar faces, a lot of familiar faces. I'll give you a little background about myself, and then we can move into the meat and potatoes of what's going on. I grew up in Portland, Oregon, worked for a company called C.H. Thornhill, was in on the startup and certification of the Bremerton facility, and went away and became a district manager of the sewer district up in the Mukilteo area, and then worked at the Edmonds facility. One of the things I've done is travel around and seen a lot of different entities. My specialty is utilities and function of how to optimize utility systems. And one of the things I'm involved with now, if you want to get something done, you find a busy person. In the past, I've been on the board of the Water Environment Federation, which now has over 46,000 people. At that time, it was 43. And I've been on the various committees in Kitsap County. One is the Civil Service Commission. Most of you folks remember Billy Eater. She appointed me to that position, and I'm now chair of the Civil Service Commission for the Sheriff's Department. I'm also chair of Silverdale Water District, and with the water issues we have today, it's a challenge. One of the big things is you saw the street tore up, and water reuse is important. Tied into water reuse, I'm on the rulemaking committee for the state of Washington and Department of Ecology for water reuse, so I'm actively involved in the community. Vice chair of the Pacific Northwest Salmon Center out in Belfort. And I'm also vice chair of the Solid Waste Committee for Kitsap County. So I'm actively involved with what's going on. My view is that I want to work with the existing commissioners. They've done a great job. We just went through some of the most tough economic times that I've ever seen. And I had a small business corporation here in Kitsap County, and I had to pull money out of my own pocket to keep it afloat. And that was a challenge and a half, and I'm still paying for that. I have 2 children. They grew up here in Kitsap County, and they're off Dad's payroll as of Saturday, when my daughter gets married, so I'll have a busy time now. And so I put those kids through school. My vision for the port is that I work with the existing people to get things done. They've done a great job. I would like to take and use my background in infrastructure and utility systems. Thank you.
All right, thank you both. So we have a bunch of questions today, so we'll try to get through as many as possible. And I thought, usually I start off with a softball. Today I'm going to start with a hardball. So it's a really tough question. And since Carrie, you started, so we're going to start with John with questions. John, you get the first question. You get 1 minute to answer. What houses have you slept in within the last 30 days?
Well, I've been in Indianola. I have a place in Indianola up there on the Spit. I have a place there in Morningside Drive in central Kitsap. And then I've been at the Chico Way place. So I've been in all 3 places. I've also been down in Oregon and stayed with my parents down there.
Thank you. Carrie,
I live at 705 Shore Drive
for the last 30 days.
for the last 13 years.
All right, folks, that was it. It's all downhill from here. So, thank you. Carrie, your question goes to you. Should we be consolidating the many little port districts across the state?
Absolutely. Well, just like we should probably be consolidating school districts and cities, and I mean, one of the problems we have in this state, in most states, is we have too many governments. And so consolidation of governments is a huge opportunity, but it requires leadership. And so far, the people that run these districts and get elected to these districts are hard pressed to want to give them up. But if someone wanted to lead a charge on consolidation, and not just ports, I mean, we have more ports in Kitsap County than any other county in the state. I think we have 9 or 11 ports in this county. But we have 260 school districts in this state. We have 285 cities in this state. And many of them can't afford to support themselves, nor do they have the tax base. But it requires really strong leadership to get these organizations to consolidate. Yes, the answer is yes.
Thank you. And John, the same question.
It's best to consolidate the districts, but the practicality is it's not going to happen unless there's a financial issue. And if you have a person that serves on 2 districts, it could probably start to happen. But bringing these districts together, school districts is a good idea. One of the things you do save is administrative overhead at the top. I'm not so sure you save anything down below because it still takes the same amount of people to make those districts run. Thank you.
All right, thanks, John. So this question then goes to John. If elected, people here have a long memory. If elected, are you willing to commit to no new taxes or bond issues without a vote of the people? Yes or no?
Yes.
Well, this is going to be a quick, easy one. Harry, same question.
Yes.
All right. So folks, there you go. So next question is, this one goes to Carrie. Carrie, for 1 minute, how specifically will you try to diversify the local economy?
Well, ever since I've come to Kitsap County, the argument has been we're too dependent on military jobs here, and what happens if the military gets cut back? And a few years ago, we got a big scare with the potential the Congress decided they were going to cut back the military. But we've not seen that yet in Kitsap County, but that doesn't mean it can't come. So the big opportunity for us is to balance the work space here between private and government. And we haven't done as good a job as of attracting private sector jobs here. We need more baccalaureate degrees at Olympic College, so we have a more educated workforce. But now better than ever, I think Kitsap County has an opportunity to attract private companies, especially those that are housed in Seattle and King County, who are looking to expand. This is a perfect opportunity to come to Kitsap County.
Thank you. John?
Repeat the question.
Question is, how specifically will you try to diversify the local economy?
One of the things is work with the existing commissioners. I think they've done a good job. We just come through tough economic times and provide the forum for these companies to grow. One of the biggest things that I've seen is storage area for warehouses and for builders and developers, lay down yards, how to put things out, and provide something for them to lay down the yard at a reasonable cost. One of the big issues with the ports and with any district is providing a piece of footprint for someone to put themselves down and do it in a way that you make it affordable to them. Is it a real issue of the port to rent it to make money, or is it to turn around and provide the forum for people to come and work? And what you do is create the space for them to provide workspace for workers to come in. Also, too, is the education is it's important for the districts to have educated people. And by having a nice place to live, they'll have an educated spot.
Thanks, John. And then this question goes back to you, John. Question is, what partnerships would you form to build momentum to meet upgrading or marketing the port?
Well, one of the deals is KEDA does a nice job for the county. They're bringing in, they're promoting jobs for the county. The KEDA relationship is important, and I support the fees or the charges that go to KEDA. The other one is work with the cities. Find out what people are in there, what their demographics looks like, and what they can do. Work with the college and provide a space for that. If they need a building to practice welding or to do something specific, that's what you provide as a medium for people to think and grow.
Very good, thank you. Gary?
Well, nothing happens anymore without creating partnerships. No one has the resources by themselves to go it alone. And those partners are varied and all over the books. They're the federal government. They're working with Congressman Kilmer on bringing federal kinds of grants to our community. There's state government working with our legislature to do that. But as John pointed out, it's KEDA, it's the school district, it's Olympic College, it's the cities in our community, it's the other port districts. So it's those people who have the ability to bring people together, because it doesn't happen automatically. Matter of fact, it's very difficult to create partnerships unless you have the leadership skills and the ability to do that. And I've done that all my life, and it's one of the strengths that I bring to this election.
Thank you. So this is a somewhat of a follow-up question from one of our audience members, which is a little bit more specific to that last question, which is, would you plan, and this, excuse me, Carrie, it goes to you, would you plan to work with the city of Bremerton, Kedah, and Kedah to develop a marketing plan? If not, why not? And if you do, how are you going to see that this gets done?
Yeah, that's a great question. If you talk to people in Seattle, there is like this divide between Seattle and King County and Kitsap County. They know about Snohomish County, and they know about Pierce County, and they know about Bellevue, but it's amazing when you go to Seattle and talk to people how they so uninformed and uneducated about Kitsap County. It doesn't get on their radar. So I've talked to Mayor Lynn and all the other mayors in this community about coordinating the marketing. I don't know why our housing people here, real estate people, aren't advertising in Seattle every day. We have a housing market here that's the most affordable in the Puget Sound region. And why we aren't getting that message over to King County, I don't understand. So that's a great question. I don't know who asked it, but if we don't market our assets here, which are plentiful, then we're just missing our best opportunity.
Thank you. And John, please.
Marketing the assets is really important, but you have to have the asset to market. One of our biggest problems here is where do they move to? Which are the houses? Where are they at? Do they move into high-density condos? There's some work going on downtown Bremerton that is really going to add to that. And it's quick access, working with Kitsap Transit to move people from one end of the county to the other. One of the things is those of you who've driven Highway 3, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 5 o'clock, it's pretty doggone busy and it's getting stacked up. And it's only going to get worse with those developments going in the north end of the county. But developing a method to move people, persons from one area to the next is really important. The other one is that you have to develop a medium for them to come. And housing is probably the biggest, affordable housing. And that's not too tough to beat when you have downtown Seattle.
Okay, great, thank you, John. So actually, this is a flip side of that last question. And John, the question is just, the audience member wants to know, what is your opinion regarding the city of Bremerton's decision to exit KRCC?
That's a tough one. KRCC is going through some challenges right now, and I believe that it might be a good idea to step back and take a look at, see if it's an organization that's really want to really be involved with. But KRC is a great organization. It can work well. There's some internal issues they have to work through. Once that happens, they can get off the ground and get going. If they're not meeting Bremerton's needs, then there's a reason, and you have to find out why. Why aren't they meeting Bremerton's needs? Because Bremerton, I found out to be very involved with the community and do nothing but the best.
Thank you. And Carrie?
I think it's a really terrible and misguided decision. The major issues in this county are regional. Their transportation, their water quality, their jobs, their housing. These aren't issues these issues all transcend boundary lines. And for the biggest city in this county not to be at the table, to meet with the other communities here, and to be a part of the decision-making that goes into regional issues like water and transportation and ferry service, to me, is not the kind of leadership Bremerton ought to be providing for this county. So I hope, and I know that the mayor feels this way, I hope the city reconsiders that issue. And I hope there's room for these people to work out a resolution to this issue so that KRCC and the city of Bremerton can come together. It's just about leadership, and it's about bringing people together. There's no reason why they can't do this, and I'm sure they will.
Thank you. So now let's get into some more questions a little bit more specific to the port itself. First question is, what are your plans to develop the port properties? This goes to Carrie.
Well, we've got 578 acres in our main industrial park, but we've got about 1,500 acres total that are opportunity for development. And I've gone over some of the plans that I have. Number one is we have to be ready to build once we have a client that's ready to go. So, in other words, if Amazon called tomorrow and said they want to expand, they want to be near their Seattle hub, but they want to be in a place where their employees can find affordable housing and where their commercial real estate rates are a little cheaper, I think the main thing is the port's got to be ready to move. When we tried to negotiate with Safe Boats, when I was at the port, they were threatening to leave. And we brought in architects and we were ready to build them a world-class facility. And unfortunately, they didn't make the final decision, but we've got to be ready to move to build when these companies are ready to expand.
Thank you. John? Same
Well,
question.
I agree with Kerry, is you have to provide a space for these people to land quickly, have something set up and ready to go, either a concrete pad sitting on the ground or all the permits approved. One thing I disagree with, Kerry, is that the Amazons and the Mullins and stuff aren't gonna come for a long time. If they do, that would be great, but it won't happen. Is that you have to go out and you have to provide a medium for what we need now. Government contractors, as Kerry had mentioned earlier, is critical. Provide a place for them to go. Yes, you can entertain the Boeings and the Amazons, but it'll be a long time before they make it over here. Consider extending the airport, at least having all the permits in place to extend the airport up to 7,000 feet for commercial, because there is a need for airspace, airplanes to land. I know FedEx was here at one time, and that'd be something to consider in the future.
Thank you. So in that same line of thought, the question from another audience member is, would you be in favor of attending more trade shows to market the port? This goes to John.
Local, I'd say U.S. trade shows, absolutely. International trade shows, I'm not in favor of at this time. I believe the money should stay in the United States, because that's where our business is. The United States has its strongest economy, and attracting business to this area is absolutely critical. And when they pick the trade shows on the East Coast, wherever it's going to be, down south, you pick the ones and you have a target audience. You go to that trade show that you want to draw in. And don't be spending your money flying around the world and trying to bring in something that doesn't exist. Boeing will bring in Airbus or some major contractor like that. But let's just concentrate on what we have here and make do, make work what we have.
Yeah, I'm not big on trade shows. What I do think is important is direct contact and getting to know and have a relationship with the potential employers. Actually visit them in their specific office, finding out what their needs are, being on their list when they start thinking about expansion. Trade shows are kind of a flowery little thing where you get, people come and talk for 3 minutes. That's not what I intend to do. I intend to be in Seattle calling on potential employers who are interested and letting them know we're ready to go. Or in Bellevue, calling on potential people who are, that's what I consider to be recruiting and specific targeting for people who might be interested in bringing jobs here. Trade shows are maybe if you have the money, that sometimes they're worthwhile, but that wouldn't be the top priority for me.
Thank you. So a real specific question then regarding the port, and this goes to Kerry. The question is, what are you planning to do with the port property on Washington between 2nd Street and Burwell?
Well, number one, it's an incredible piece of property. I'm not planning to do anything with it, but what needs to happen is a collaboration between the city and the port and other interested parties in this community about that piece of property. That is one of the most valuable and key pieces of property in Kitsap County. And it will take some good, and there's an opportunity there on this piece of property to create private-public partnerships. So the idea is that we would do something that would create income over a long period of time for the port, whether or not we sell the air rights to it, or whether or not we lease it, or whether or not we sell it, or whether or not we're a partner in it. That's a huge opportunity for the port, and I'm glad the port bought it. I thought it was a good purchase, and I look forward, if I'm elected, to being part, working with the mayor and other officials on that piece of property. Big opportunity for everyone.
Thank you. John, same question.
That's a good piece of property. It's valuable, but it's only valuable in certain ways. One is it's probably valuable for condominiums and the people that live there. But the real value to the area is parking. One of the biggest drawbacks to going downtown Brampton is where to like parking and where it's the best place. On top of that parking structure, of course, you can put commercial or private structures up there for individual homes, condominiums, or commercial entities. But parking is one of our biggest challenges. And if you provide parking, they will come. But it's getting a place to put that gas guzzling vehicle right.
Right, thank you. So kind of focusing a little bit more on economic development. The question from our audience member is, could our overall economic development efforts be better organized here in the area? John?
Well, economic development it depends on who's defining the economic development. And the last few years have been tough on us. This year is going to be a good year. It looks like the next few years is going to be. But economic development is you have to have, what do you want the place to look like? Do you want it to be a Bellevue, a .com, high-tech, or do you want something to support the area industry? The area industry, of course, is the shipyard and the technology that goes there. You have to have a nice place for people to live. So economic development is you have to create the infrastructure downtown and place to live to allow people to go to Seattle and also to work down in the shipyard area. One of the things that's happening in the north is the development up there on commercial. You're going to see a lot of development around the Paulsville area. You're going to see a lot of development at the port district, particularly out in the airport area, because they have land. That's the biggest asset that they have out there. Thank you.
Well, I've always believed that if you're not changing and getting better, you're going backwards. And whatever system we have in place today has been okay, adequate, but I don't think any of us in this room would say it's been outstanding. So that means we should look at a different vehicle. We do that in our lives every day. So do I think we should change kind of the mechanics of the way we do economic development in this community? Absolutely, I do. I think there's lack of coordination between the port and KRCC and some of the other there's chambers and there's all these other entities that are interested. But I think fundamentally we spend too much time stirring our own pot. I think we spend too much time talking to each other in Kitsap County. I don't want to go to another meeting where there's a bunch of us sitting around talking about all the things we already know. What I'm interested in doing is spreading our wings a little bit and having a vehicle or a mechanism to where we're in other communities talking to them about our assets and resources.
All right, thank you. So now getting down to the heart of economic development, question to you, Carrie, is what do you intend to do to bring more revenue into the port of Bremerton?
Well, the port's biggest revenue opportunity is leasing space in our industrial park and bringing jobs. Revenue is one thing, but if we're creating jobs, then that means that people are paying taxes, that cities have more to take care of their park system. So for us to create, we're not in the business actually of creating a bunch of wealth for the port. We're in the business of trying to make all our three entities break even and at least make a profit. We're more in the business of creating jobs that create economic vitality in this community. So do I think all our three entities, the marina, the industrial park, and the airport should actually make a profit? Yes. Do I think, but I think the most important thing we do is create jobs by bringing new companies here. So that's what my emphasis will be on. How do we, let me just say this, I was an orphan kid and I came out of orphanages and I've lived in foster care all my life. Jobs are the most important thing any community can offer. If you have a job, then you have benefits, you can get hospitalization, so that's really the heart of where I'm from.
Thank you. Same question to you.
The question was?
What do you intend to do to bring more revenue into the port of Bremerton?
Revenue is a tough one. You can either do it through taxes or increasing the rents on the properties that you have. And I agree with Carrie, is the purpose of a port district is not to make money. The purpose of the port district is to invest back into the community through trails and through docks. Also is maintain what you have. Take that extra money, if there ever is any, is put it back into the existing infrastructure. And if you want to put up a new runway, a new building, then you have to go out and either raise the money through bonds, you can bond stuff, or you can do it with tax increases. And of course, the people have to say on that. But if they say good things happening, see good things happening, they'll go ahead and support what you do. If they don't support it through an election, then don't do it. But just provide a medium for these people to come in.
Thank you. So following up on that is an audience member asked, what expertise do you bring to the port on developing the marinas, the airport, and the airport business? So what expertise do you bring, John?
Well, I built a structure in Silverdale, Washington, Provost Way, just a little bit south of Harley-Davidson. And I went through the tough times of getting it financed, keeping it paid for over this economic time, and keeping the leased tenants in there. And my expertise is infrastructure and knowing what to do. I'm not afraid to make decisions that maybe aren't so popular with some people, but moving on, I can make decisions and get the job done. And I do know infrastructure, I do know construction, and I do know utilities. Utilities is the biggest limiting factor for entities to come in. If you don't have the sewer, then you're really in a pickle.
Thank you. Gary?
Well, I am not a utilities person, that's for sure, John. But I am a person that knows about leadership and bringing people together and raising revenue, raising funding to take care of the jobs that we need to take care of at the port. I just finished a project in Aberdeen where I've been volunteering for the city for the last year and a half to revitalize their downtown. And we just raised $1 million in the state capital budget to buy property so they can build a park on the river. And we brought together for the first time in that community all the various entities, the port, the city, both cities, which never talk to each other, and the state and the federal government to help this city down in Western Washington. That's been the most depressed community in our state for about the last 30 years since all the mills closed. So what I bring to the table is ability to bring people together to get these jobs done.
Thank you. So specifically, next question addresses just a part of the port. And actually, 3 different audience members asked the question in different ways, and I'll just give you one version of it. And that is simply, what is your plan to bring business to the airport? What is the future of the airport? And that goes to Gary, please.
Yeah, you know, the port's looked at the airport options for a long time. A lot of airports this size were built back in the 40s and 50s and 60s when the FAA had a lot of money and they were funding these airports. And there are way too many of them in this country today. We've tried in the past, the port has tried to get some kind of commercial airline service in here, but all the commercial airlines tell us that it doesn't pencil for them, that we've got an airport within an hour for us. So what we're basically doing is providing small aircraft air service to about 200 people, which is a fine service. I agree with John that if we extended the airport another 1,000 feet, that we could land bigger planes and it might attract companies who were interested, like companies that were interested in being able to fly merchandise in and out.